Yes, now, and welcome back to episode 170 of the Top Loaded podcast. And there's a lot to talk about this week, from the London Card Show to Panini potentially getting bought out to grade into a lot more, which we'll be getting into straight away. But before I get into this episode, a massive thanks to the guys over at Third Down UK for powering up this episode of the Top Loaded podcast. Whether you need card supplies, custom card stands, grade preparation kits, or whatever you require, head over to their website, check the link in the bio, head over to their shop, and make sure you use the code TTP10 at checkout to save 10% off your whole order. And like we say, before we get into some of the big news that is surrounding the card world this week, it was a very successful show yet again down at Sandown Racecourse, obviously for the London Card Show, which I can't believe it's already done. The November show has been completed, which means the shows for this year are done. That is it. They're all done now, which is crazy to think of. And yes, you can see him, the new mascot of the Top Loaded podcast. Hector himself has made a little appearance. But like I say, I was down there on the Friday, but I've spoke to a lot of people to get their verdicts on Friday and Sunday as well. But it just seems like we do say every single time now for him. And obviously, massive thanks yet again for Harry, obviously, real Harry as well, for coming on last week on the episode. But another fantastic show. And of speaking to a lot of people as well, their busiest shows that they've ever had. Most amount of sales, most amount of buying, most amount of everything. So it seems to have gone down very, very well with all the vendors. A lot of people I know have been there, obviously, in the perspective of a customer. Very, very happy as well. Obviously, I've got some pickups, but I will be showing them off because I've had a American delivery as well, which is just fantastic. So you'll be seeing a lot of pickups come later on in the episode, which I know people do like seeing. But obviously, before we start talking about that, let's talk about my experience. I was obviously, for me, I'm a much more of a niche market for what I actually do buy. Obviously, for a lot of people, they do know that I mainly focus on women's, especially Arsenal women's. I've collected a bit of basketball, but very niche players, DeAndre Russell, and then anyone who has played for the London Lions. So I go into a lot of shows expecting not to buy a lot. However, for me, this show, obviously, there was going to be hardly anything. I knew that anyway, due to the fact of we haven't had any women's releases in near enough 4 months now. So I wasn't expecting it because normally you have um, quite a few people have just ripped cases and they have cards for sale. But obviously, with no releases, people are just not opening the product. They're not entering random breaks. So they're just not got they haven't got the cards available. So I was expecting this. I had one deal lined up later, like already, with a very good friend, obviously Joe from JoJoMS, got that card, which I will show you later on in the episode. But walking around, what I like to see now, and I'm sure a lot of people, when they go to the shows, if they've been to shows, they will agree with me, of it is now you see a clear identity to a lot of people's branding, tables, etc. And I think it started at a point where people didn't really know what to sell, what to buy. Um, the prices were all over the place. So now you're walking around the London Card Show, and a lot of people built their brands, built their businesses, built their identities now to such a point that um, it's um, it's a very refreshing, and kind of know what people are going to be buying or what they're going to be selling before you even get to that table, which I think is really cool. Um, for example, the table that obviously I focus most of my time around is with the people I get on well with. You had on that table GBW, Dub Breaks, Lav Collects, you had Joe, you had Sports Card UK, Dan, El Toro, you had LGL, um, and She Scores Cards, for example, was on that table as well. And a lot of them have done very well building their personal brands up and being able to buy and sell. And from people that at one point weren't doing that much in terms of buying and selling, and now all doing very, very well. And it's good to see that people within the UK have really worked out a way to turn a hobby into a business or even just a side hustle, which is very good to see. So obviously, going in, I arrived about 9 o'clock on the Saturday morning. I personally do say, if you can and are quick enough, because as of today of recording this, which is the Monday, London Card Show tickets are available, and I would heavily recommend people buying the VIP tickets. It gives you that hour early access that will give you the advantage of seeing more stuff's available. But I personally think that the most underrated thing about the VIP thing is you get to walk around when it's just the VIPs in there. And you don't realize how many more people when the doors fully open at 10 a.m. That's when it starts getting really busy. You can have in an hour, you would be able to look around pretty much all the tables, have a vague idea of what's where to go straight back to, and then you don't have to kind of look over people's shoulders, don't have to budge past people to see what's on that table. So I would definitely recommend, if you do have the capabilities, obviously the next show is February the 13th to February 15, 2026 at Sandown Racecourse. Um, but yeah, fantastic show. Very busy on the Saturday. I was there for the main event, like the main show, and also trade night. Speaking to a lot of people Friday, they've done some really good business. It was a very good buying day for vendors. Um, and then as well on top of that, when I spoke to a lot of people regarding yesterday, obviously the Sunday of the show, they said it was what their busiest day they've ever had at the London Card Show. Most amount of sales, most amount of buy-in, most amount of trading, which is very good to hear. And I was speaking to a few people, obviously I won't say names, but they're saying that it's really, really interesting now seeing how the market is going. And they saying with everyone being more knowledgeable, not just obviously them self buying and selling, but people coming up to the tables, it's a lot easier to do deals now. Whereas before, a lot of people would walk up and just have no idea on pricing. People come up with a price in mind, which that's probably my one word of advice for some. If you're going to ask someone, go up to someone's table and go, "Oh, I'm going to sell this card," have a price in mind, because if you don't have a price in mind, how can you go? So, say for example, whatever card it is, and the person goes, "I'll buy 50." Oh no, I was looking for more than that. The person can't buy and sell the card. Like, at least have a rough ballpark um, on the cards of what you would be looking for if you do want to sell it. But obviously, I know it's card show season now as well. There's quite a few other shows in the works. I think there's another couple of shows within 2 and 3 weeks, which quite a lot of people are attending. I probably will be attending one in about 3 weeks' time, which I'm quite looking forward to. But going back to London Card Show, fantastic experience. Another one of them great days. Um, Obviously, got to say a massive congratulations to Harry as well for launching, as you can see here. The Gem Mint Club, I really like the merchandise, what's available. 2 different styles of hats and a white hoodie as well. But heavily recommend picking up some of this. Head over to their Instagram page if you want to see more. But yeah, London Car Show absolutely smashed it again. Obviously, now we're kind of the February show would be a very similar show to this one and the other one from 2025, leading obviously up to the massive show at the XL in London on the 17th to the 19th of April, which is tickets are on sale now. So if you want to get your tickets, head over to the website. And while you're there, you can pick up your February tickets as well. Pickups will come in a bit. But another thing to say, obviously, the legends over at Third Down, who do sponsor this episode, had a bumper area this time. I remember the first time I see them at a London Card Show, they had a table, then they went to 2 tables, then 3 tables, then 4 tables. Now they've got their whole own area. And I think that gives everyone the motivation and shows the clear pathway within the UK hobby now that there is money to be made there, but also the hobby is growing. There was 11,000 people at the London Card Show this weekend over 3 days. That is the same amount of people that go to a Premier League game at Bournemouth. It's crazy to think, and who knows what the number's going to be when it comes to the XL show. But having 11,000 people attend one card show in the UK is unbelievable. It's the highest attended one in the UK, probably Europe as well. So it's incredible to see the growth of the hobby. So many new faces, so many new vendors as well, which shows that it's not just people walking through the door that are just looking around and buying. There's a lot of people that are actually fully invested in the hobby and actually are going out their way to try and make money out of it, slash run a business, slash just have a good time. And I think that's the nice thing, meeting new people, meeting people that you've been watching on YouTube for 15 years and actually meeting them in person. I had the great pleasure of mentioning Zerko, obviously Josh from the Sidemen, absolute lovely, lovely bloke. I have a lot of time for him, just having a chat with him. So yeah, that was a great fun. Great show was great. Made some lovely pickups, which will be coming in a bit. But yeah, no, massive congratulations to James, Katie, and Harry, and the whole team established with attached to the London Card Show for absolutely smashing it again. I can't wait for the February show. It's my birthday weekend as well, so it could be a lot of fun. But moving on from the London Card Show now. Like I say, there will be another card show. I should be attending in 3 weeks' time, but I haven't confirmed it yet. But as soon as I do, I'll let you guys know. But there was some big news come Friday coming out of Italy. Obviously, for people who don't know, the two main card companies in the world is Panini and Topps. Moderna in Italy is the home of Panini and has been for quite a while. Sadly, their longtime CEO passed away recently, who I think was in charge of Panini for a good 4 or 5 decades. And there is rumours coming out that Panini are looking to sell, which is quite surprising. However, I will get into a few points that I could see coming up. But for people who don't know, Panini, obviously made famous on stickers, will always be legendary for the stickers, but also one of the biggest magazine producers in the world, which people don't really know as well. And obviously then moved into the hobby side of cards as well, with some of the most famous releases such as Prism, National Treasures, Flawless, Impeccable, to name just a few. But the rumor is Topps are exploring. So when they mean Topps, they mean Fanatics. Fanatics are actually exploring the possibility of purchasing Panini, which some people have said, oh, well, that's a good thing because they can use the licensing. For me personally, it'd be horrific because I don't care what industry you're in, and people might disagree with me if this is, I'd love to have a chat with you as well. For any business to succeed in this world, you need competition. Apple has competition in Samsung. Sony has competition for the gaming consoles from Microsoft. Ford has competition from Chevrolet. Football teams have competition with each other. Tesco's has it with Sainsbury's. Every single business in this world will have a competitor. And it's a simple thing of life, of competition. You want to outdo whoever you're going up against. Then if Panini was to be acquired by Topps, it just wouldn't be a good day in the hobby, in my personal opinion. Obviously, I could be wrong, and I could be proven wrong in the long run. However, if you have a monopoly on the market, which Fanatics have pretty much done already with Topps, you would be subject to their prices, their releases. It'd just be all the same. For example, I'll use an example right here in front of me, which I can talk about. Topps now in the NBA market, but for example, I've got a lot of Panini NBA cards, and they're just different. They are different, Topps and Panini, and they've got different styles. They do things better than the other. I don't disagree that Topps do quite a few things better than Panini. I would say the releases and the price point for Topps is a lot better than Panini. However, Panini do have some other sets that I love. Prism, for example, Chronicles. I'm going to stay away from stickers in a moment because I'm going to have a theory about that. But it's not all good if Topps do acquire Panini. Fanatics obviously could have Panini and Top. The only positive, and I will fully agree with this, everyone. If they do it, I don't know how the underwriting of the contract are for like the licensing, whether it's actually assigned to the Topps brand. However, if Fanatics was to own Topps and Panini, they would have some sort of merger in place, because you wouldn't own Panini and Topps and say, right, Panini, you can only bring out NASCAR, WSL, World Cup, Serie A, Liga, La Liga, NFL until the end of this season, which ain't too long. But Topps, you need to remember, you can only do NBA, MLB, UFC, WWE, Premier League, Champions League, Euros, will they be able to cross over and say we could get Champions League Prism or Champions League Chronicles or WSL Chrome? So that's something that we would only ever know once, like the inner workings of the contracts and buyouts done. So at this time, it would only ever be speculation. Personally, what I would like to see Panini do, they probably might. It sounds like they're not really exploring this option at the moment, but if they was, I wouldn't mind them selling off the card side of it, but keep the. For me, Panini will always be the king of stickers. They will always be the best at it, and if this is the case, I would like them still to keep hold of Panini stickers and maybe let the rest go. Let the card side of it go, but keep the stickers. I think that's fundamental just for legacy and heritage. But yet again, if Topps and Fanatics wanted to acquire Panini, it would be subject to the market, and it could actually be blocked by the business trades as well, because it could be seen as capturing too much in the market. For example, Upper Deck, Leaf, and other companies as well wouldn't be able to compete, which would be completely and utterly the right statement. Yeah, it would be the right statement, because Upper Deck, Leaf, and all these can't compete with Topps and Panini. Not alone if they can like merge to create an absolute superpower in the trading card world. So I'm quite intrigued to see how that plays out in the long run, especially the. No, I'm a firm believer of there's not one person in the world who doesn't have a preference between Topps and Panini. For me, I am always going to be biased, despite my favorite set of all. Well, my two favorite sets of all time is one Panini, one Topps. It's 2019 Impeccable, or the first ever Women's Chrome. For me now, I naturally buy a lot more Topps products than Panini due to the fact of they have the Women's Champions League license. Not like they've used it this year, but it would be a sad day just for everything in general. And the reason why I can't see Panini getting sold is for the sole fact of it is a legendary company. But again, people would say, and the counter argument is, for example, Ford was sold off to General Motors, and it could be a very similar thing on the lines of it could be good in the long run, or it might be another individual or company goes in to try and buy Panini, which would be great. But it's one of them that it's such early days. It's only one rumor in a Italian business journal. So I will monitor the ongoing story with that just to see how it goes and to see how when any more news comes out, what's going to happen. But for the moment, it's just pure speculation, and it hasn't. There's not really anything concrete in terms of news on that to really report home. So until there's any more information, that's my brief ideas around it. So moving on from Panini and Topps, I would like to talk about some new releases. New releases are done. But no, in all fairness, I think Summer Signings is officially out as of today. Obviously, Summer Signings, which comes out in winter, is quite funny now. But obviously, all the top stuff is delayed. I think partly down to the NBA. I think obviously that took up all of the printers and everything like that. So Summer Signings, I haven't actually seen any as of yet. But I do know, obviously, for Arsenal fans, I think there's a Eberechi Eza and Victor Jokesh dual auto, which is just mental. Just men's only, that release. This is another one that's quite intriguing, and it shows you how certain markets are just so much different. And there was a Disney minted set that come out last week, which I see linked at, I believe it was something in New York, or there was a Disney convention or something going on somewhere where they was talking about it. And it is very similar to Panini 1, if anyone knows of that set. But however, Topps Disney Minted is a one card per box set, which is currently around the 300 odd pound mark, I believe. If not like £400 for one card. Yes, there's some absolutely incredible cards in there. Tom Hanks' Toy Story autos, where he's on the card as well as the character that he voices. Obviously, some really cool Mickey and all these other characters. So, it does look quite an interesting set. SpongeBob Sapphire is around the corner, which we know our good friend GBW will be all over when that comes out. If you haven't already, have a look at some of the dub breaks, highlights, and reels from SpongeBob Chrome. That was a fantastic watching him go crazy over all the SpongeBob cards. Obviously, moving on from SpongeBob, there's a few other releases which we're still waiting for. We are awaiting Museum. We are awaiting a lot of sets. The end of this month, we're not too far away now. We're about 3 weeks away from EFL sticker set being released, which I'm led to believe that all League One and League Two teams will have 2 players per sticker, whereas the EFL Championship will have 1 sticker per player. Which would be quite intriguing to see. I'll probably put a set together of my local team, Leighton Orient, and maybe a few other players if they make the checklist. Someone I went to school with who plays for Warsaw, I might try and get their sticker if he's in the set. He probably won't be, but if he is, that'd be quite cool. So I'm looking forward to that. There's rumours of a EFL card set coming January to March, so probably like February time around the next London card show, which would be really intriguing to see, especially for collectors out there who haven't been able to ever really collect their own team PC wise. And that would definitely be one of them sets that would be a rookie heavy set because literally near enough no one's ever had a card. So that should be a really fun one to see in the long run. And my last kind of talking point before obviously we end up this episode and look forward to what's upcoming is grading. I think is in a. I know I always talk about grading. People are probably getting quite bored of hearing me talk about grading now, but grading is in a interesting space, I would say, of a lot of people I know are not really grading because obviously it's gone up slightly in price. When we mean got up slightly in price, if it's got up $4 or $5 per card. But in terms of the time wise, people are just not wanting their cards gone for 3 to 4 months. Obviously, if you pay the higher tiers, then it might be 1 to 2 months. But a lot more people I know are just not grading, which I find quite interesting. I think people just don't want their money locked up. Like you send a card one London card show, and you might get it back for the next one, if not slightly longer. And PSA are quite open with it. They said they're trying to work back towards a similar turnaround times of what they did have recently, which was like the 2 to 3 month mark. That's why they've slightly upped the price, but upping the price was not helped at all because it's actually just more in demand to get graded at the moment. The TCG market is going absolutely ballistic, especially at PSA. Some of the data that was revealed last week for the last 30-day period was mind-blowing. There was more TCG cards graded than sports, which is crazy. And you think about it and you're like, all right, TCG is a bit of a broader market. It could be Magic, it could be Pokemon, it could be Yu-Gi-Oh! But we all know mostly it is Pokemon. Pokemon scene is just going strength to strength at the moment and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So it was, I think it was 1.2 million TCG cards were graded in a 28-day period. And then I think the second was baseball or football, American football, at 300,000. And I think soccer was like 40,000. Obviously, 40,000 is still a lot of slaps. But in the grand scheme of things, it shows you how much more the soccer market can grow. And we've seen, obviously, the growth in the UK. We've seen the growth around America, Europe, wherever it may be. And it's so promising. And I was speaking to a few people about this, that we're still really just at the beginning of all of this. And you look at the UK and it's really establishing like people are content creators, people who are doing shows, people who are doing buying and selling, people who are doing grading. And it's good to see, very good to see the UK market, how it is in my personal opinion. But grading is one of them that I always say there's only 2 reasons why you will grade a card. One reason for grading a card is for the protection of what the slab ensures on the card. And the other one is more value when coming to sell it. However, if you are selling if it's a PC item which you have no interest in selling, I've come to experience because I had a stack of about 40, 50 cards to grade, and I was just like, if I'm not going to sell them, why do I need to get them slabbed? In the long run, I will. But I'm like, is there any need to get these slabbed up? Not really. I'm not. They're sitting in my case anyway, so they're not going to get damaged. They're not going to get sun bleached, and I don't need to protect the value on them because I'm not selling them. So in the end, I just went, nah, you know what? I won't bother getting them graded. I'll just hold it off and wait down the line. However, I would say if you are looking to make a profit on a card, it's a rarer card or something like that, still get it graded. I'm not saying don't get stuff graded. It's just my personal opinion at the moment, my own cards. But for example, when I was talking to Joe about this, obviously for him, because he's running a business, it opens up the possibility of making more of a profit on certain items because it is graded. So always keep an eye on the market, I'd say. Keep an eye on certain cards, because if you have a card that looks clean and it's like pop 2 in a 10, you might as well risk it in a 10, because sometimes it can be 3, 4, 5x on your investment if it grades a 9 or a 10. So that's a no-brainer in my personal opinion. Especially if you look at like some Obsidian, Museum, earlier Chrome stuff, early rookie stuff, it makes sense to get graded because people don't want to buy them raw. But I think that's this better thing with the UK market in comparison to the US, because of how easy it is. Anyone could just send it off from their house to PSA. If on a whole, if you see a card not graded in America, it normally means that it's bad and it won't grade well. Obviously, there's some exceptions to this, but on a whole, normally means this. So grading is definitely an interesting part. I said to people I would bring you more information when I have it on Women's Chrome. I've tried, but sadly no new information. And each week that goes past, I'm getting less and less optimistic. If I had to give a percentage chance of what actually I think we would actually see this Chrome, I'm going to say 10% chance now. I'm losing faith, and I would be very, very annoyed if Topps cut the only proper release we get for the women's hobby. I think that would signal their clear uninterest of that side of it, because obviously they only really care about the bottom line, and obviously it's not making the money. They're just not going to do it. So hopefully I'm proven wrong, and hopefully that comes out. And to finish off this episode, I did promise you some pickups, and I've got loads. So I'm going to speed through a lot of these. Some of them I won't even bother showing, because some of them you'll be like, who the f- is that? Like, so if I start with some of the stuff that come over in my American delivery, right, here we go. So for people who don't know, I'm actually quite a big boxing fan. And I said to myself, there's only three real people in that set that I have any interest in getting the cards of. And I weren't going to go big on it. I just wanted to get an auto or something like that. So starting off now with my favorite women's boxer who I see fight at the O2, which is Micaiah Mayer. Fantastic boxer, 3 division weight class champion, a legend of the sport in my personal opinion. Auto there, which was nice and cheap from America. And then a more local boy who trains 20 minutes down the road from me, Conor Ben. Obviously, a lot of people will know him, obviously, from his recent fight with Eubank Jr. And obviously, that's coming up in 2 weeks' time as well. So I picked up his gold to 50 and also his auto, if I can actually get it right. There we go. So golden auto, nice and easy, that one. And then one that I'm sure that every single person out there is going to know his name. An absolute legend of the sport, British sporting icon. Tyson Fury to 20, got that for a really good deal. So very happy to pick up my first set of like boxing cards. And then as well, I said to people that I was going to the Topps event, opened a hobby box, and these were my 2 big hits, which I'm trying to work out whether I sell or just keep, which was a Russell Westbrook to 10, which was very surprising. I hit a to 10 card, and then a Devin Booker Hardwood Stars, which is one in every 1,800 or so packs, which was unbelievable. And then here are what I picked up at the London Card Show. First of all, a massive shout out to the legend, which is Bart Sports Cards, and also runs the page Peloton Pools. If you're not on that and you're into cycling or just interested in learning about cycling, head over to that page photo, which is at Vincenzo Nibali, absolute Italian legend of cycling. Tour de France sticker from 2021, which was a very nice gift from him. And I'm talking about a gift. Massive shout out to a legend of the podcast, Lav Collects UK, who done a deal with Cal Freezy, I believe it was, and he got a free card for it, which was this Granit Xhaka autograph Ace 10, which I've got to admit, that custom label looks class with that card. So massive thanks to Lav, absolute hero. And then I had one deal lined up prior to the show with Joe, as mentioned earlier, which were for these two lovely cards from 2012, London 2012 Olympic Games, Adrenaline, Kobe Bryant and LeBron James PSA 8s. Two absolute legends. Always wanted some more of their cards. And then I picked up three more cards, which were this lovely Beth Mead Merlin 10 of 10, which is a beauty. Followed up by, you probably guessed it, Stina Blackstenius from Merlin. Not really picking up too much, but it's such a nice looking card that I decided to pick up another one of her autos. And finally, Frida Leonardson Mornham to 10 from Knockout. I love this old set, which you don't really see much often. And funny enough, I got a message as I was at the card show. Oh, you've got some post here for you. And I was like, oh, not ordered anything. I have no idea what that is. And it was a infamous gold envelope from Topps, which I managed to get super lucky. And this is one of my favorite cards in my collection already. Olivia Smith, black to 10. Topps now, at the time, world record transfer fee of £1 million, the first ever £1 million player. Super happy I ordered 10 of them to be able to get it to 10. Absolutely stoked and chuffed. So very happy with that. So I've got a lot of cards to sort out, but yes. So let me know, anyone down below, if you went to the London Card Show. Did you enjoy yourself? Did you do well? Let me know which people you'd like me to get on to talk to, interview, and just talk all things cards as well, because we've got a few people lined up ahead of the busy card show season. But yet again, a massive thanks to the guys over at Third Down UK for powering up this episode of the Top Loaded Podcast. Whether you need card supplies, custom card stands, grade preparation kits, or whatever your hobby needs require, head over to their website, check the link in the bio, or head over to their shop and use the code TTP10. That's TTP10 at checkout to save 10% off your full order. But a massive thanks yet again for everyone speaking about the podcast at London Card Show. Don't worry, I was debating whether to continue it, but I can officially confirm the Top Loaded Podcast is going nowhere. I can't wait to be bringing you many more episodes fortnightly, with the potential of going back to weekly next year. But that would be something that I will speak in the long run about. But like I say, it means a lot, all the kind words, and it was great to see everyone yet again down in E-Sharp for the London Card Show. And I can't wait for the next card show already. But massive thank you for every single one of you who's listened along, watched along. Hope everyone out there is doing well, staying safe, buying, selling, trading, and all that good jazz. But most importantly, happy hobbying and good night.